What's going on, Modern Warfare 3 forum? This is Sweaty Groat bringing you another gameplay. I'm sorry it's on hard hat again. I promise the next video I do will be on a different map. It's probably going to be either my Moab on Dome or some domination on bootleg. Could even be possibly something from the new DLC if I manage to get a decent gameplay on it. Okay, so we're playing some Drop Zone here because a few of the regular members from the forum have requested I do an all-out rushing gameplay, particularly MD and MP5K. Both asked that I do an insane rushing game, even if I get a lot of deaths. In this game I get a fair amount of deaths, but I also get lots of kills. It's fairly action-packed. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the gameplay later on. What I want to talk to you all about first is gaming history. What is your video gaming history? We all have one. It all started somewhere, our first ever video game. Mine started a bit earlier than probably most of you because I am 28. So I'm probably going to now talk about video games that you've never heard of on consoles you didn't even know existed. But bear with me, and if you find any of them funny, watch them on YouTube and tell me what you think. They're very primitive, some of the earlier ones. So my first sample of video games ever was on my brother's ZX Spectrum during the summer holiday months many years ago, playing a game called Manic Miner, which had about 8 colours and a really primitive platforming game. I think made by Rare, possibly, who were obviously a fantastic game company. They made like Donkey Kong and stuff. So that was my first ever game on the ZX Spectrum, which is basically like a console kind of crossed with a PC. Really simple. You kind of used a tape deck to load the games, which meant you could obviously pirate your games no problem, which is naughty. And it plugged into your TV, so it was like a mini notebook but without a screen. From there, my brother had a Commodore 64. Can't say I was massively impressed with that. It was useful, but I wasn't massively impressed. Then I got my first ever console of my own, which was of course the Sega Master System, with the sliding lid for the cartridges, and of course Alex the Kid built in, which was a fantastic little game. Other games of note on the Master System, obviously Sonic, Afterburn and Wonder Boy. Might bring back some memories for some of the older forum members there. From there on I moved on to the SNES. I didn't get a Mega Drive, so my neighbour across the road got one instead, so I kind of had the SNES. Me and my brother used to play Mortal Kombat together. Obviously Super Mario Kart, split screen. Whoever invented split screen obviously wanted brothers to fall out consistently every Sunday afternoon, so we used to do. You know, we used to fire the red shell when you were like on the last corner and the guy who were leading would end up like last. Good fun. Also, of course, we had F-Zero on the SNES, which was also huge fun, which is kind of a futuristic looking racing game. We also had Street Fighter, but I wasn't massive onto that. From there things moved on to kind of the N64 and Sega Saturn. On the N64 we obviously had GoldenEye, which is probably one of the best console first-person shooters, certainly one of the first really good ones back in the day. We also had Wave Race, which was an excellent game, beautiful graphics for the time. Good games really. Shame they were like £65 each back then for the cartridge. Obviously on the Sega Saturn we had things such as Sega Rally, which I still think is probably the best racing game for the time. The way the cars felt, the way the cars handled when you went over bumps, and the way they reacted to it, was fantastic. The way you could tweak all your car and things, really fantastic game. From there obviously we also had the PlayStation 1. Now I remember my brother getting his PlayStation 1, ugly looking machine if anyone remembers what they look like. And the first game he got obviously was Ridge Racer, which was the standard release game that it came with. Remember on Ridge Racer you only got one track, which was mirrored and reversed to give you a bit of variation. I was going away for the weekend with my parents. I remember watching it about 20 minutes before I had to go out of the house to get in the car to go away, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, this is a huge step forward. Sadly I had to go away for the weekend and didn't get to play it till I got back. I was like itching to get home and play it. Superb game for the start. I then took kind of a break from gaming, but I did play some PC gaming too. I had a PC, my brother also had one. We used to play Unreal Tournament together on a LAN, a LAN network. Sorry, we used to play that quite often. Good fun. We also played online. That was kind of my first sample of killing people online, which, as we all know from the Call of Duty series, it's kind of a serious addiction once you start. So that was good times. Don't know if anyone remembers Dex 17 and getting the Redeemer, which was like I suppose a bit like a Predator missile these days in Call of Duty, or a Valkyrie rocket. Huge fun. Obviously then we had the Xbox, and then we had the Xbox 360. Didn't have an Xbox 360 at first, my brother had one. I got into Call of Duty playing at my brother's house on World at War. He bought it. Instantly fell in love with the graphics, you know, the kind of sound, the realism of the game. I thought the way it felt, you know, it just felt so good, you know, using your bouncing betties, your satchel charges and stuff, like I'm using my C4s here. It's all still there. Just a brilliant game to look at. The feel was fantastic. The maps were brilliant, you know, courtyard, dome, making, castle, upheaval, all superb. You know, the DLC was really good too, unlike DLC from, you know, other Call of Duty games. Truly fantastic. We also then moved on to Modern Warfare 2, which was broken. Not too bad for the hacks. I only saw one hack in 18 days playtime. I know the Americans say it was a lot worse for them than that. Then obviously we moved on to Black Ops, which is where I met people from the forum. Now, to anyone who's playing Call of Duty right now and is a member of the forum and who is finding it hard to do well, biggest piece of advice I can say is party up with people from the forum. Because in all honesty, I've had the pleasure of playing with some truly amazing players. You know, the American guys I've played with have been fantastic. Also, you know, the UK guys I've played with are fantastic. Matador, Brofsky, Filth, many others as well. You know, I've played with who are all excellent players. And you know, if you want to get better at Call of Duty, playing with people from the forum will improve your gameplay at no end. I wouldn't make out I'm a great player, but I've gone from being a kind of corner camping noob to being able to rush now effectively and do reasonably well. Like I say, I'm not fantastic, but I can have my moments, so to speak. Okay, we will talk a little bit about Drop Zone now. For those of you who haven't played, it kind of appears in your community playlist, which is below the advanced playlist where Mosh Pit and Team TAC and Hardcore is kept. It's kind of a mixture of domination and headquarters mixed together. There's a time limit, there's a score limit, and the idea is to get to the drop zone, which is the red smoke. First person to get to the drop zone earns a care package. If you stop in the drop zone even longer, more care packages will drop. And obviously the more members of your team that stop in the drop zone, the more points and XP you get. That's the general idea of the game. A little bit about class loadout. I'm using a striker here. I haven't got anything nice unlocked for it yet. I'm still on with getting extended mags and damage and range. I'm a couple of kills off getting them now, I think. I'm using the MP9, as you can see, as my secondary. So it's really good to close up. And I'm using Sleight of Hand, Blast Shield Pro, which it doesn't survive you from every grenade, but it does at least give you a little bit of protection. People tend to spam javelins and grenades into the drop zone, so you've got to be a bit careful. I'm also using Steady Aim Pro. It's obviously with the striker, it's no ADS, you just spam it, hip fire. That's the general class loadout. I'm using C4 as well. You might notice I got a triple earlier and I've had a few doubles in this game. Using portable radar, so it's just handy to know where they're going to spawn from, and that helps a lot. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. So this is nearly over now. Like I said before, I do promise that the next video won't be Hard Hat. It'll be one of the new maps, or it might be a Moab game. I'm still a little bit unsure which one to go for. But please leave us some feedback to say what you'd like to see next. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this. I'll catch you later. Bye.